This is the Laowa 12mm 0D. It's an ultra-wide lens with zero distortion, and this is its little brother, the 9mm f2.8 0D. So I say it's the little brother because these are both wide-angle f2.8 lenses with near zero distortion, despite the fact that they are very wide-angle lenses. This one that I have here is about half the size of the 12mm lens, and it's also about half the price, which is really nice. This one in particular is the Micro Four Thirds mount, but they do also have this in Fuji X, Sony E, Canon EFM, and DJI DL mounts, so it is quite a versatile little lens. This is not a full-frame lens though, and that will explain for the smaller size, as well as the wider focal length, to make up a little bit for that crop that you're going to be having to deal with depending on which system you are using. On Micro Four Thirds, for example, you're going to be dealing with about an 18mm field of view. They say about 100 degrees fields of view, but still, for this price, a 18mm lens with zero distortion, and this build quality, and I assume image quality, we'll get into that later, is going to be a really great deal. So my whole family has been on vacation for the past 2 weeks, so I really haven't had much of a chance to get out and shoot with this to talk about image quality, but today we're just going to take a very quick look at the physical design and build quality of this lens. So before we get into what's here, let's just put up some of the more basic specs on the screen here, like element counts and things like that, just in case you are curious. But this is the lens itself, and it is pretty tiny. It reminds me a lot of the 7.5mm lens, which is, I believe, more expensive than this, but it's a little bit wider and it has a little bit of a wider aperture, but it is not the zero distortion design, the 0D design like the 12mm is. So that's the benefit of using something like this. Starting at the rear, sorry, I somehow lost the lens cap. It's somewhere, it's gotta be somewhere, it's always somewhere, but this is the rear of the lens here. Of course, it's not weather sealed, but the rear lens does not move as you focus the lens, so that's a non-moving rear element there. Otherwise, it's a metal mount, very good quality, very high quality, like all of the Laowa lenses, and that's what the back of the lens looks like. Moving further up on the body, you have, of course, the aperture ring here, which is clicked, and you can go from f2.8 all the way down to f22. The stops get a little bit smaller as you reach the end of the range. From f11 to 16 to 22 is a very, very small little adjustment there. It's not overly loose. It doesn't slide out of place very easily, or more easily than it should. And the clicks are pretty solid little clicks there. After that, you do have the little scale here, so you can see your focus distance in both feet and meters, and you can figure out your hyperfocal distance if you want to. And then, this whole part here will turn as the focus ring, manual focus ring. This is, of course, only a manual focus lens. It moves very, very smoothly. It's, of course, very small, but it's a very, very smooth, nice amount of resistance. Again, as always with Laowa lenses, I've never been disappointed. They make all manual focus lenses, so they know what they're doing when it comes to designing these rings here, and it just has a really good premium feel to it. After that is the metal lens hood, and I think this is a simple thing, but they've really improved it over the 7.5mm, at least the copy that I had. I don't know if they've changed that since then, but this lens hood doesn't snap on necessarily, but after you twist it a little bit, it does get to this point where it's not so free spinning here, and it's a tight fit, so it's not going to accidentally come off as easily as some of their other lens hoods did. Again, I don't know if they've upgraded those on those lenses or not since I've got mine, but it feels like an improvement in terms of the lens hood, the way it spins on there. And another big thing that I like about this over the 7.5mm is that you can remove the lens hood with the lens cap on. It's a simple thing, but if you've seen my review on the 7.5mm, you'll know that it gets stuck here. The lens cap, I guess, is larger than the area where the lens hood mounts, so when you take it off, it pulls the lens cap off with it. And that was a little bit frustrating, but they've improved that as well. So you could grab the lens cap from in there, put it on after the hood is on here very easily. You can remove the hood with or without the lens cap on there. Again, simple things, but I'm glad that they, fixed that, or that they've paid attention to that in this lens. The front element doesn't move either when you turn this focus ring, so it's not going to have any external moving parts where it's going to suck in any unnecessary amount of dust. Of course, this is not weather or dust sealed, but having those external moving parts would suck in a lot more unnecessary dust than something like this will. This does allow, of course, for standard threaded filters on here. They are 49mm, which is pretty small, I guess, so you shouldn't have to spend too much money on filters for this lens, and you can screw them right on the front there. Otherwise, that's pretty much all there is to it. Again, it's a small manual lens. It's not very complicated. It's built very, very well. All the parts that move very smoothly, but, you know, like the aperture ring is, you know, very clearly clicked at the different stops. So everything feels very premium, despite the fact that this is a pretty affordable little lens. I love something like this, and also that 7.5mm that's so small you could literally just, you know, throw it in your pocket, throw it in your camera bag. It's something that you could always have with you. So maybe it's not going to be something you shoot with for every single scene, but it's going to be a really great lens to have because you can have it with you so easily. And, you know, if you don't have it with you, you're not going to use it. So that's a huge advantage of this tiny little lens, as well as, you know, their 7.5mm lens. And I would definitely recommend this for anybody who likes to shoot wide angle. The zero distortion design is also going to really lend itself to, you know, real estate, things like that, where you want to keep your lines straight. I will be talking again more about the image quality in the coming weeks. I don't have a photo micro four thirds camera to test this out on photos wise, but I do have this Zcam E2 here. That I will be testing this on for video. So if there's anything in particular that you want to see, just let me know down in those comments, and I will try my best to include that in my image quality video when that is ready. So if you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave those down below, and I will do my best to get back to you. If you like this video or found it helpful, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe to see more in the future, and hit that little bell icon to get notifications when new content is uploaded. As always, thank you for watching.